Manchester United came into this season carrying the scars of a disappointing campaign, with most analysis pointing to one core problem: a blunt, ineffective attack. Goals were scarce, quality was missing, and Old Trafford was no longer the fortress it once promised to be. That's why the club made a bold statement in the summer of 2025, bringing in Matheus Cunha, Benjamin Šeško, and Bryan Mbeumo, 3 signings meant to breathe fire back into United's forward line. On paper, this trio was supposed to transform United's attack into one of the most feared in the Premier League. But here lies the paradox. The greater the expectation, the deeper the disappointment. The spark that made Cunha stand out at Wolves, that saw Šeško emerge at RB Leipzig, and that turned Mbeumo into Brentford's talisman, seems to have dimmed under the weight of the red shirt. The question is, why? How did a dream trio turn into a tactical headache for Rúben Amorim? Is it a case of the wrong system, or the crushing weight of expectation silencing their instincts? Let's take a closer look at the reality behind this high-profile experiment. When United announced 3 blockbuster attacking signings in the same summer, many believed it marked the dawn of a new era for their front line. Cunha, Šeško, and Mbeumo, 3 forwards with distinct profiles, yet united by the hope that together they could finally give United the cutting edge they had lacked for years, a strike force capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with Europe's elite. Each arrived at Old Trafford carrying an impressive resume. Cunha had just wrapped up a stellar 2024-25 season with Wolves, netting 15 goals and adding 6 assists in the Premier League. He was the heartbeat of their counter-attacking game, renowned for his ability to glide through tight spaces, take on defenders, and wriggle free inside the box. Šeško, the 22-year-old rising star of RB Leipzig, scored 13 times in the Bundesliga, showcasing not just clinical one-touch finishes, but also clever movement off the ball and aerial strength. And then there was Mbeumo, fresh off a breakout year with Brentford where he racked up close to 20 goals and 7 assists. A winger blessed with searing pace and a versatile finishing arsenal, he looked like the kind of wide player who could change a game in an instant. With resumes like that, many pundits believed the combination of all 3 at Manchester United would be nothing short of perfect synergy. Šeško as the target man, Cunha playing the flexible role, half creator, half striker, while Mbeumo cut inside from the wing like a dagger slicing through defenses. But reality has been far crueler. As the 2025-26 season kicked off, United quickly slipped into turmoil. Their most recent setback, a 3-1 defeat to Brentford at the G-Tech Stadium in match week 6, left them languishing in 14th place with just 7 points from 6 games. To make matters worse, they crashed out of the Carabao Cup against lower league Grimsby Town on penalties. Across these matches, the much-hyped trio of Cunha, Šeško, and Mbeumo have been little more than shadows of their former selves. Šeško did manage to open his account with his first goal for the Red Devils, but his overall play has looked disjointed, too often isolated from the rest of the attack. Cunha still brings fire and energy, but his decision-making and positioning have been erratic in Amorim's new system. Mbeumo, meanwhile, has let fly with plenty of shots, but they've lacked composure, his accuracy sinking to around 30%, far below the standard he set at Brentford. Adding to the struggle is the crushing weight of expectation. Media hype and fan anticipation have turned every goalless game into a headline, every misstep into criticism. What was once billed as a dream attack has now become a trio desperately searching for rhythm, each man looking around Old Trafford for the spark that once defined them elsewhere. The paradox is clear. The more they were praised on paper, the more doubts they've created on the pitch. And so, the spotlight inevitably swings toward Rúben Amorim. After all, on paper, Cunha, Šeško, and Mbeumo should fit his philosophy. Amorim arrived at Old Trafford with a glowing reputation from Sporting Lisbon, where he forged a highly disciplined 3-4-3 system built on pressing intensity and maximizing the dynamism of wingbacks. From the moment he took charge at United, his vision was to transplant that very identity into the Premier League. On paper, Cunha, Mbeumo, and Šeško should be able to adapt seamlessly. But the reality on the pitch tells a very different story. A lack of cohesion, overlapping roles, and a front line that feels more like three individuals than a collective unit. First, there's the supply line, or rather, the lack of one. Šeško thrived at Leipzig in a system where attacking midfielders consistently threaded passes into the box. At United, without a true playmaker pulling the strings, he's often starved of service. Too frequently, he drifts deep or wide just to get a touch of the ball, negating his greatest weapon, those instinctive one-touch finishes inside the penalty area. Then comes the Cunha conundrum. At Wolves, he played as a hybrid 9.5, roaming, creative, free to disrupt defenses with unpredictability. Under Amorim's 3-4-3, his movements are more rigid, hugging wider zones or holding a fixed position. Instead of unlocking defenses, he's burning energy, pressing and battling, with far less room to showcase the quick combinations and decisive runs that made him stand out. When he does see the ball, his play often breaks into individual bursts, dribbles, rushed shots, rather than connecting fluidly with teammates. For Mbeumo, the shift has been just as jarring. At Brentford, in a 4-3-3, he thrived on cutting inside to unleash his finishing. Amorim's wingbacks, however, push high and wide, pinning Mbeumo closer to the touchline. Instead of darting into the box, he's asked to link play and recycle possession. The result? Fewer opportunities in dangerous central areas and a dilution of his deadliest asset, the ability to slice into the box and score. And finally, there's the pressing, or the lack of synchronicity in it. Amorim demands coordinated, pack-like pressing from his front line. But United's trio haven't yet found the rhythm. Too often, Šeško charges at a center-back while the flanks fail to tuck in, leaving gaps for opponents to escape through. United's press crumbles, and suddenly the team is exposed. Taken together, it's not about the raw quality of Cunha, Mbeumo, or Šeško. Individually, their talent is undeniable. The problem is tactical fit, the friction between Amorim's philosophy and the natural instincts of his forwards. If Manchester United want Cunha, Šeško, and Mbeumo to truly explode, Rúben Amorim must adapt his approach rather than force them into a system that worked at Sporting but hasn't clicked at Old Trafford. The first step is tactical flexibility. Instead of locking into a rigid 3-4-3, United could experiment with a 4-2-3-1 or a variation of 4-3-3. That would allow Cunha to operate as a free number 10 behind Šeško, using his dribbling and link-up play to connect midfield and attack while lifting the creative burden off his shoulders. It would also open up more direct attacking options, giving United a sharper edge. Secondly, Mbeumo needs space to cut inside rather than being pinned to the touchline. United must structure their attack so that a fullback pushes high and wide, stretching defenses and leaving the half space open for Mbeumo to exploit. That's where his pace and instinctive finishing can cause real damage. As for Šeško, he needs service, not isolation. Early balls played in from deep, whether incisive through passes or long diagonals, would allow him to maximize his one-touch finishing instincts. Forcing him to drop too deep only blunts his greatest strength. Pressing also needs refinement. Amorim currently wants his front three to push up in unison, but the coordination simply isn't there. A more zonal approach could help. Cunha and Mbeumo closing the flanks while Šeško shields the center-back passing lanes. That way, United press as a unit, not as three individuals sprinting in different directions. In short, the key to unlocking this trio is loosening tactical rigidity and granting them freedom. Their struggles so far aren't down to a lack of ability, but to the system they've been placed in. With time, tweaks, and trust from the coaching staff, Cunha, Šeško, and Mbeumo could yet transform from paper promise into a devastating reality. The question is no longer whether they have the talent. They do. It's whether Amorim is willing to bend his philosophy for the sake of unleashing the most anticipated attack Manchester United have assembled in years. Stick to his principles or free the firepower. That choice could define not only his tenure, but United's entire season.